So this crossover between these two big franchises were completely inevitable. There were comic books all the way back in 1989 that had already crossed over the two different aliens. So it was inevitable that we're going to have a movie interpretation of these two aliens fighting each other. Especially since both of the movie versions of these franchises have been doing very well and have done quite well box office wise financially. Getting a crossover of these two aliens was inevitable.
Beginning, middle, end. Facts, details, condense, plot, tell it.
Basically, the plot can be summarized as humans discover pyramid under ice in Antarctica, predators arrive, they stumble upon aliens, hilarity ensues. Not that much to the plot, it goes through the same story beats that you would expect. Humans are trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. They get attacked by face huggers, and aliens start to kill everyone off, and predators start killing off everybody too.
Who on earth are they?
So, casting characters. All of these characters, you're not going to remember them. You just remember little bits of what they do. Like, the main character is played by Sanaa Lathan. She plays Alexa Woods, and she's like the guide because she knows how to climb mountains and traverse very icy terrain, so they pick her to help them traverse through Antarctica. Raoul Bova is the professor in the movie, Sebastian De Rosa. He's Italian, and he helps identify the ruins and the pyramid because he's an expert in that. Lance Henriksen is Bishop Weyland, so obviously a nod to previous Alien movies where he plays the synthetic android Bishop. And it makes sense that the Weyland-Yutani Corporation would make androids that look like Bishop, so that does kind of make sense, I guess. And there are a whole bunch of other characters in the movie, but they're not really memorable, and they all get killed off pretty quickly once the movie gets going, so you're going to forget about them all eventually. And we don't just have one predator, we have 3 predators in this movie. They also get killed off quite quickly now that I think about it.
You sly dog! You got me monologuing!
Acting, not good. No chemistry between the main leads or really any of the characters and actors, really. There's no really feeling of real comradeship and friendship between any of the characters. They're all quite forgettable performances. And I have to laugh at some of the lines of dialogue as well. Like one of the lines where Lex says, "They're not hunting us," referring to the predators aren't hunting the humans. When clearly they were.
You can't just have your characters announce how they feel! That makes me feel angry!
So, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, so you know what kind of movie you're going in for. Not always the best films, but he does make pretty entertaining movies. I think that's even how he was quoted saying once. He doesn't go out of his way to make good movies, just entertaining ones. And I know this one isn't very well received and isn't considered a very good film, but I do find it entertaining. Mostly because of the premise. Only because of the premise.
I'm in a glass case of emotion!
So, to go against the previous Predator and Alien movies, this has a PG-13 rating, M rating in Australia, so it's not very violent, not in the same line as the previous movies. There are kills, but they're quite standard kills and not very gruesome. So it's not going to feel like that in the same line as the previous movies, unfortunately.
Why don't you punch me in the face? Punch me in the fucking...
Action and fight scenes. So I will admit the clash between Predators and Aliens is pretty cool. There is one main fight between them towards the middle-ish of the movie, and I had to laugh at how the predators got killed off quite easily by one alien. Like, the one alien that has any kind of... I'm not going to say character. It just has a certain look where it gets pinned by the predator's net and has net lining where it's been wounded on its head. That's how you differentiate that alien. That alien is able to take down 2 predators. So the predators aren't that great in this movie, except for one. The action can be entertaining, but when it's the aliens and predators in the suits, as opposed to CGI, it doesn't look that great. Kind of reminds me a bit of the old Godzilla movies from the Showa era, where it's different monsters fighting each other, but it's just actors in costumes. And it looks clunky, and not that great. It does change up between the costumes and the CGI. It does look a bit better. The glaive, which is a new weapon they add in this movie, it looks really cool. I like the look of that. The scene where it's a flashback from a few thousand years ago, where just a handful of predators are fighting off just thousands and thousands of aliens. That scene looks pretty epic, and ever since I was a teenager, I loved it.
Loud noises!
Music is composed by Harold Closer, and the only music that really stuck out to me was with the flashback scene and when the first engagement between the aliens and Predator. Other than that, there was nothing else that stood out to me, and the music doesn't really feel like it's in the same line as previous Alien and Predator movies. It doesn't feel the same. I was kind of hoping that it would have a mix of the two, combine the two different soundtracks to make it feel like it's more connected to those things, but it doesn't. A bit of a wasted opportunity in my eyes.
That rug really tied the room together, did it not?
I will admit that obviously a lot of work went into the production design of this movie. The pyramid itself looks really good, and it must have been extremely difficult to film and choreograph, especially when the pyramid pieces are all moving and chambers are getting open, walls are going up and all that kind of thing. And as far as I can tell, that's all done in live action. That's not CGI, and that would have been really difficult to do. And I have to admire it just for that. And of course it had to be a pyramid, because back in that era when History Channel was just all about pyramids and aliens, there's a pyramid in this movie, must be linked to aliens, because aliens. And I will say as well, the interior of the Predator ship doesn't look anything like the interior of the ship that we saw in Predator 2, but I don't know where this movie falls in line. I don't think it's canon compared to previous Alien and Predator movies, so you can kind of forgive it for that.
There is no Easter Bunny, there is no Tooth Fairy, and there is no Queen of England.
So obviously, I don't know if it's going to be continuing any kind of world building from previous Predator movies and previous Alien movies, because as I said before, I don't think it's canon or anything like that, so it's kind of its own interpretation of it. Like, for example, they made a point of saying in the first two Predator movies that they only like warm climates, and this takes place in Antarctica, so it throws that out the window. So there's other inconsistencies like that between Alien and Predator movies, so my guess is this is not canon at all, and it sets its own world apart from those franchises. But it adds different elements to predators represented on screen. A human and a predator working together. I like the idea of that. Predators don't kill sick or injured people. It sticks in line with that. With previous Predator movies, they don't kill sick, pregnant, or children, except if they try and flamethrower their back. Then it's going to kill a motherfucker. And the alien ships are silent. I love it when the ship goes overhead and it's just completely silent. That for some reason, just that 2-second clip from the movie really stuck out to me.
Oh, that submarine's so fake. Look, you can see the strings.
The suits all look amazing. They all look in line with previous Alien and Predator movies, so definitely looks like that. The Queen alien animatronic, it's huge and truly wonderful. I think it's probably one of the biggest working animatronics that have ever been made. And I really got to appreciate the movie for that, and a lot of effort would have went into that. They could have just done it all CGI like they do later in the movie, but most of the scenes with the Alien Queen, it's all animatronics, and it looks fantastic. I got to appreciate the opening shot of the movie where it looks like it's an alien ship that's up in space, and then it comes up to it, pans around, and you see that's just a regular human satellite. I liked that for some reason.
Well, this little maneuver is gonna cost us 51 years.
For all of its flaws, it is paced well. It is very short. It only goes for about half an hour, and by the 20-minute mark, they're in the pyramid, or at least close to going into it, and the movie really gets going, and that's the perfect time for the movie's plot to really get going, about the 20-minute mark. So it does that very well, so mercifully short.
It stinks. It stinks.
If you're a fan of Aliens and Predators, then yes. And like I've been saying with so much of these reviews with these franchises, mostly if you're a fan of those franchises, you're going to enjoy these movies for the most part, even with all of their flaws. Typical moviegoers aren't really going to enjoy this movie a lot, and I doubt there's a lot they're going to enjoy and remember. So that was my review of Alien vs. Predator. More enjoyable than I remembered it being. I wouldn't say completely underrated, and I definitely think it's better than some critics are saying it is. As always, thank you for listening to me ramble on about a movie for a few minutes. I do appreciate it. Thank you again, and I'll catch you next time.